So the future of publishing, how much does that have to do with books?
Not much. I mean, I think that that's something, it's interesting because you're here representing, to a certain extent, that industry. And books are almost standing in the way of what publishing is becoming now.
When I think about what publishing is, I think about it as the act of curation. On one hand, you're curating an audience. You're aggregating an audience for an author, and you're aggregating authors for the audience. There's also a role that is very much under attack, maybe more than any of the others, which is curating authors for a distribution channel. When I describe Twitter as a publishing medium, I'm doing exactly the same thing as a Twitter publisher as I do as a book publisher or as a conference producer. I'm figuring out interesting stuff, and people follow me because they're looking to me to pick signal out of the noise and pass it on.
In the Twitter world, everybody is a publisher. On the other hand, when you publish might be considered more valuable. It turns out everybody does it.
Yeah, but the thing that I think is really important, context is everything. When I think about my favorite tweeters, my very favorite is my new grandson, who doesn't actually tweet himself, but my daughter tweets on his behalf. And it's just a wonderful window into his life. And I wouldn't miss that for the world, even though there's only 3 or 4 or 5 of us who are following him. And the other extreme, there are completely vapid celebrities who are tweeting things that I guess their fans care about, but I have no interest in whatsoever. And I think that's always been the case in publishing. It's a million niches, and the fact that the niches now extend down to a level of a small circle of friends is really a good thing.
I guess I just wonder if it's you said it's a million niches. It feels like more like it's a billion niches.
Yeah.
And do the billion niches compete so effectively against the 250,000 that we're actually making money?
Yeah, but I would say that it's really important to separate the craft and the art of publishing from the business of publishing. Yeah. Business is always going to evolve. Whenever I hear about the decline of newspapers and this worry that investigative reporting is going to be, lost, and I think about a conversation I had about 15 years ago with Michael Leeds at CMP, the big publisher of computer industry trade publications. And Michael told me, if we can't get a publication to $50 million in revenue within 3 years, we shut it down. And now I look at companies like TechCrunch, which are an order of magnitude less revenue than Michael Leeds' publication that he would have shut down, doing a better job of reporting for their niche than CMP publications ever did. And I said, I don't see why that won't happen in other areas. I think tech is just ahead of the curve. We have developed an ecosystem, and the fact that somebody can produce the product more cheaply means that they can make a business of it more effectively. We have these behemoths in publishing which have all kinds of debt, all kinds of infrastructure, which has nothing to do with the act of publishing. The user doesn't care about my overhead. The user doesn't care about the fact that I have infrastructure that, some guy who's getting up in the morning and making screencasts about technical topics, in his apartment doesn't have. They don't care about it. They just care, is it useful information? And when Jeffrey Grossen back at Peep Code is making Ruby on Rails screencasts, he's performing publishing just as powerfully as I was when I was first printing books 25 years ago. Didn't really know what I was doing, feeling my way towards a market, and not knowing where it was all going to lead.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute, just because so many of our customers are actually those behemoths.
Yeah.
And they're coming to us saying, our business is in jeopardy. We don't know what to do. Do you have any interesting solutions for us?
Yeah.
I guess it's ironic because technology helped cause the problem, and so now they're asking us to be the solution. And what they say, the Time Incs and the Condé Nasts of the world say, is that they need control back. And they're not saying they need to control the internet or they need to control digital publishing overall. Mm-hmm. They just need to control over the assets that they publish. like the quality that they're accustomed to, they haven't been able to successfully translate to emerging medium. Do you think they don't have a leg to stand on? Or?
I think they don't have a leg to stand on. First of all, every new generation of technology redefines quality. This is classic innovator's dilemma. If you ever heard Clay Christensen talk about the introduction of the transistor radio, the story. He says RCA spent $1 billion in today's money trying to make transistors as good as vacuum tubes, and they couldn't. And that's why they failed. Meanwhile, Sony discovered a new market, portable, aimed at young people, where the quality didn't matter as much. Built the next generation of technology, and I think that's where we're going. We're not going to make these new forms of media duplicate what we could do in the old media, at least not at first. What we're going to do is we're going to explore the possibilities that are inherent in low quality, low bandwidth, low control, and then bit by bit as the technology evolves, we'll figure out all those things again. But if we try to impose them now, then we're really imposing a tax on the future.